in a sort of whirling White House with a lot of chaos and not a lot of adherence to protocol, the one structured element of the president's day is his daily briefing. It happens almost every morning at 10:30 usually, sometimes a little bit earlier, and the president is a really attentive listener and participant.
Every president gets a security briefing that is tailored specifically for them, for their interests, for their style of learning, for the way they best consume information, because that is the goal, to get the president to consume the daily intelligence briefing. So for instance, we heard that President Obama, I believe he may have been the first to get it on an iPad.
We interviewed the CIA director and the director of national intelligence, who are in there almost every day, who described the back and forth. He doesn't sit there and read a briefing memo. He doesn't listen to a long presentation. Instead, it's like a conversation, sort of a constant dialogue and back and forth between the president and his briefers.
He's not a great reader. He doesn't love to read. So he likes to get stuff verbally. He likes to have sort of like long, wide-ranging, free-flowing discussions. He learns better visually, so pictures and charts and graphics.
He's really engaged in this. He asks a lot of questions. He also brings up a lot of kind of random asides that may not be pertinent to the issue at hand, but that's the kind of conversational nature in which he talks in regular meetings as well. One thing that's a bit of an alarming sign, I think, to the intelligence community is that the president hasn't always retained all the information he's received. He doesn't always pay attention to nuance, and he doesn't always respect the sensitivities of the intelligence and the ways in which it was gathered.
It's General McMaster who comes in, his national security advisor, and the president likes having these people present. It's also CIA Director Mike Pompeo and Dan Coates, the Director of National Intelligence. So they are often always in the room, always briefing him verbally in person every single day.
They're always in the morning, and there's almost always a fresh Diet Coke on the Resolute desk that he sips from during the briefings.
And it always goes to the minimum of the scheduled time and often over, because the president is asking so many questions. Or the day before he said, you know, that's an interesting part of the world, or you mentioned something and I have questions, can you get me more on that? So the briefing often runs over its scheduled time until Reince Priebus, the chief of staff, will sometimes come into the Oval and say, hey, Mr. President, you have people backing up outside.